All right, guys. Well, we're going to get started today. I am super, super excited about this session. Today, we get to hear from 4 inspirational leaders that are being recognized as HITEC 50 awardees. This award recognizes the top 50 Hispanic leaders across Latin America, Spain, and Portugal. This is quite an accomplishment. And so let's start off by giving them a huge round of applause and some HITEC love. Felicidades, congratulations. Oh. And just a quick plug, we're gonna be celebrating the HITEC 50 July 23rd. So be sure to register for that event because we are going to be celebrating in style. So please join us. So we have the opportunity today and the privilege to get up close and personal with these 4 stellar leaders and award winners. Claudia Minzi, who's coming to us from Argentina. Teresa Reyes, who is coming to us from España. Olga Botero, who is coming to us from Colombia. And Alonso Yañez, who is coming to us from Mexico. So thank you for representing all parts of the world today. Gracias, gracias. Today's session is going to be led by our very own Alonso Yañez. He is a HITEC, 5-time HITEC 50 awardee, so he is no stranger to HITEC and our HITEC award celebration. He is the CIO and Technology Vice President of Walmart Mexico. He joined Walmart in 2018 as CIO for Mexico and is responsible for consolidating Walmart's technology and strengthening its digital capabilities to enable radical digital transformation. And previously, Alonso was CIO and member of PepsiCo's executive committee, where he was responsible for leading the company's digital transformation. And a fun fact about Alonso, he practices Tibetan Buddhism. So apparently he claims he's the only Buddhist CIO in Mexico. We'll see. But Alonso, thank you for being part of this. Again, felicidades for your recognition and thank you for leading the session. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And it is an honor and a privilege to moderate the luxury panel that we have this morning and afternoon here. We will have, or the intention, guys, is to have an open and candid conversation about interesting topics like collaboration, diversity and inclusion, challenges, but most importantly, opportunities ahead. So it is also important that you take notes, make your notes, and basically sit back and relax. This conversation will help us also to confirm why these 3 ladies in the panel are considered or among the best of the best tech leaders in the region. You will witness that. Most importantly, and above all, this conversation should be a chance to reflect on the opportunities ahead. So feel free to jump in. No? We will try to keep an informal session. So it's Friday for most of us, if not all of us, it's Friday. So let's relax, let's take advantage of this time together. And without further ado, let me introduce our panelists today. And let me start with Olga Botero. Olga, welcome. It's also a pleasure to have you here. Olga is an experienced board director, entrepreneur, and executive. She's the founding partner of CNS, a boutique technology and cybersecurity strategy firm. And she's a senior advisor to BCG, the Boston Consulting Group. She currently serves as an independent director on the boards of many companies in different countries like Evertech, SVO, Pharmalisto, Digital Medtech, also in Latam. She's member of the IT and cybersecurity committees of the board of Banco Pichincha in Ecuador and Grupo Pichincha. Her executive careers spans over 20 years with leading financial services, technology, and telecommunications companies in many countries and different regions, and including being the group CIO of Grupo Bancolombia. She co-chairs the Colombian chapter of WCD, the Women Corporate Directors. So Olga, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Alonso, thank you, and hi everyone. Good afternoon and good morning and good evening, whatever.
Excellent, excellent. Let me now introduce Claudia Minzi. Claudia, welcome. Claudia is the head of cybersecurity and technology controls for Latam and Canada for JP Morgan Chase. She's also the tech center lead for one of the strategic global tech hubs that JP Morgan has in Buenos Aires, beautiful town, I love it. Being in charge to promote a sense of community within the 1,100 technologists working there. So I'm sure that you're busy all the time. Prior to joining JP Morgan, Claudia worked at different consulting firms as an advisor on cybersecurity for over 20 years. Very interesting and hot topic, as we all know. Claudia holds a system analyst engineering degree and a Master of Enterprise Administration and Management from the University of Buenos Aires. She also holds different certifications like the CISP, the CRISC, issued by the ISACA. And Claudia, you're a mother of 3 children. She's an active member of several diversity and inclusion initiatives. I love that also. Within and outside our organization, fostering an inclusive environment internally and externally. Excellent. And welcome, Claudia.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. And happy Independence Day for Argentinian colleagues.
Ah, congratulations. Of course. And let me now introduce Teresa Reyes. Welcome. You are this afternoon in Spain, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Teresa is a C-level executive with more than 25 years of experience in the telco sector. She's currently a CTIO in Tigo in Colombia. And Claudia, you're in charge of mobile and fixed networks, TV services, information systems, quality and cybersecurity. And you have a team of over 600 people. So also busy all the time, I'm sure. Claudia is Spanish and moved to Latam 8 years ago. You joined Millicom Group and you spent 4 years in Paraguay as CTIO. Then you moved to Colombia. Prior to Millicom, Claudia worked for Vodafone, as you know, one of the biggest telco companies in the world. She is recognized as an inspiring, transformational, creative, strategic, and results-driven leader that develops leaders in the different organizations, So Tere, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thanks a lot, and really a pleasure to be here today with all of you.
Okay, so are you ready, guys? Let's have an open conversation, candid, as informal as possible. Let me remind you that this is a Friday and we're very close to our weekend. So let's do this. We're gonna have 2 rounds of questions and then 3 questions for the group, for the team. And to the audience, if there is anything that you would like to double click or understand better, let us know via chat and we can always say or ask your questions. Again, let's try to break the formalities of typical panels. So Claudia, let me start with you. And let's talk about, guys, collaboration. How relevant is collaboration in your field of work? And but most important, how do you live collaboration? How do you live it?
Well, there's a reflection that I did some time ago about collaboration. So as you know, as you mentioned, I used to work as a consultant firm where teamwork was fundamental. I'm using the term teamwork. So we were many people working for a project in order to provide our service. So always mix the concept of teamwork with collaboration. And even though there is a common base, actually, there's a subtle difference. So I learned to talk about collaboration more than teamwork. And let me clarify this. When we refer to teamwork, it means a group of people working together to achieve a common goal. As I said, be successful in our project. But collaboration is more than that. It's the purpose to share common experiences to maximize results. But also, it is the interest of people to help others, even when it doesn't mean a goal for them, but for their colleagues. And that is what is amazing from the subtle difference. Collaboration fosters, of course, productivity for the whole organization, and not for a specific area or a group. So I would say that it is very positive. Is like the evolution of the teamwork. And I truly believe that there are many benefits from fostering collaboration, and not because it is a cliche that we all need to talk about, but because I really experience that in my day-to-day. Collaboration helps to solve problems and embrace diversity. And what I mean by that, let's say that I'm extremely immersed in a project and a big rock appears and I have no clue how to move forward. I'm stuck, right? So I start talking about my issue to everyone, not only to process in my mind by talking aloud, which I do it all the time, but to see if an external help, someone with a fresh mind, can see what I cannot. And this is useful to find another perspective, someone who thinks different, and there you go. You need diversity and collaboration to brainstorm your issue until you get your answer. So from this example, you can see much more benefits. You brought people together, you develop empathy, you foster people to learn from others, no matter the level. You make your people feel including, listen, with stronger connections, who can trust at each other, and certainly, be more efficient. That's how I live this. One of the most important skills I developed in my team to foster collaboration is to listen openly without bias and be sure that all people listened and be sure that everyone is being heard. I try to lead by example, believing that when we prioritize listening without judgment, we will learn much more quicker, right? And be able to identify more gaps. And also, I truly believe that this builds trust and better relationship. We need to be respectful and open to new ideas, feedback, and opinions, and take them constructively and avoid being defensive to really understand what's being said. So we need to execute things and find different ways to approach those differences without being judged, right? So I live this collaboration mindset every day, opening up with new channels for communication, maintaining all type of meetings, one-to-one, team meetings, skip level, anonymous Blackboard for people to leave their ideas. So I tried everyone and everything to encourage people to collaborate. And I prove, in my career that creating a collaborative workspace takes time and effort, but the payoff is worth it.
Awesome, Claudia. And, interesting that everything that you have said could be applied to our personal lives. So applying those basic principles that you're mentioning are very, very powerful. I'm sure that your organization is living by those values. And I cannot imagine in your family, I'm sure that you're applying the same principles as per collaboration and relationships goes, right? So thank you very much. And Olga, let me ask you a question about collaboration on a different sense. You as a board member and with such a vast experience, how often you face misconceptions about collaboration and networking in the boards where you serve? What about
Wow, Alonso, I love the word misconception because it's really a misconception is a bad idea. It's something that comes up and in board work, and I imagine that many of you, after having very successful executives careers, might want to pursue being on boards like I did, saying I'm done with my executive career and now I want to serve companies in a different way. Boards are the fundamental of governance of companies, because what we do in boards is we represent the interests of the shareholders, and we have to worry about all the stakeholders in companies. And therefore, there is no chance for peer pressure or for not making your voice be heard. What does that mean? A board comprised of 5 people, 9 people, representing whether it's families in privately held companies, whether it is investors in publicly traded companies, whether it is a specific investor in a company that it's a unicorn or a fintech or a health tech. You have to think that you are there because a good board is built around different skills, different opinions, different capacities that are needed in order to really create value for shareholders and stakeholders. And therefore, collaboration is critical. Collaboration, that means having all these different thoughts, all these different ideas, all these diverse ways of looking at things, get together to create value, which is very different to peer pressure, not making decisions because one person is stronger than the other or one person has an idea that wants to impose on the others. And as a board member, you can never forget something, which is your fiduciary duty. That means that you have to do everything in your best, in the best interest of the shareholders and the stakeholders, and that you are responsible for sustaining the strategy and the value of a company long-term. And therefore, if you collect all the different ideas of the different board members, that's what makes a difference. Now, in the past, boards were comprised of people that they were lawyers or people in finance, and all of us coming from technology backgrounds, we didn't have that much of a space serving on boards. I remember many of us who are a little older and have more gray hair, that we even had a very hard time being accepted as C-level people sitting on the C-level committee because we came from technology backgrounds or technology functions. We were seen as people who were very operational and kind of second degree, which has changed a lot. Because today we are in the middle of economies that are all digital, that we cannot live without technology, whether we are in agriculture, on industry, in mining, in energy. Everywhere we are surrounded by operational technologies, by information technologies, and therefore we have gained our space, and we have gained our space on boards. And boards today are really interested in having all of us who have a business mindset, and at the same time, we are experts in technology or cybersecurity. And this year, I was really approached. I have joined, which is incredible, 3 boards during the pandemic. And you say, Olga, you've joined 3 new boards during the pandemic, and why is that? And it's because we realized that unless we become digital, unless we have a strategy and a business model that takes into account technology, we're going to have a hard time. And therefore, all of us who are sitting in this conversation today have the opportunity to become part of that collective thinking and collaborative thinking of being in a board.
Excellent, Olga. And I will recheck the recording of this meeting because what you're saying is really important. And guys in the audience, take a look at real experience applied to the board level. So very, very relevant. Olga, thank you very much for sharing that. Tere, let me ask you also about ways of working. So you as a Spanish lady living in Latin America, I'm curious about your opinion on what are the differences and commonalities among our ways of working. So can we say that, that we think differently, or how common is our ways of working in the countries that you have lived and worked?
Okay. Of course, there are commonalities and also important differences. For me, that I have passed from a company, Vodafone, that operates in 25 countries in the world, and I have had the opportunity when, in the 17 years that I worked for Vodafone, to participate in projects among almost all the geographies of this company, that is mainly a company very influenced on Britain, on Anglo-Saxon culture and also Germanic culture, because Vodafone acquired Mannesmann, that is the biggest telco in Germany at the beginning of the 2000 years. So really it's a very curious culture, a mix of Anglo-Saxon and Germanic and Indian, also Turkish. So really, really interesting culture. And I have passed from Vodafone to Millicom in Paraguay and in Latin America, from one day to another. And yes, I should say that it's really shocking, both the commonalities and also the differences. Of course, about commonalities, we cannot invent the wheel at this stage of the companies. Everything is about teamwork, collaboration, as Claudia said, with all these differences on that. In all the companies, leaders are very demanded on being leaders and develop people, and all the expectations that people put on their leaders and on the develop motivation and all of that. So on that side, that I have not had any surprise about Latin markets being less demanding on leadership quality, and also about teamwork. So for me, this is a common framework there. But about differences, I see a very important difference, and is that in our Latin culture, personal relationships are very, very, very important. While in the Anglo-Saxon culture, there is always a professional relationship, and it's a very different approach on the way of working that creates a very good climate in the companies. Is really very nice to arrive to the office and have everyone with a smile, and in Colombia to take a tinto as you arrive to the office. So create a very nice environment, but at some point of time can jeopardize effectiveness, because sooner or later conflicts appears in the relationships, and it's very difficult to deal with a conflict when you have a personal relationship with your colleague. So I think that this is a challenge to maintain in a separate plane the professional relationship with the personal one, in order not to jeopardize effectiveness. I think that we must not change our approach and put professional before personal. I think that really creates a good and a better environment to work, the Latin approach. But we need to be aware about these weaknesses on this when dealing with conflicts, and to avoid waste of time when you need to solve something that have created the conflict and or that need to have a different opinion or a strong different opinion with your colleagues. So to show a strong and to have strong opinions in a very personal environment is not easy. And also that for me is different is how afraid are we Latin people to make mistakes. That is also different from the Anglo-Saxon or Germanic culture that are more used to make mistakes and again to pass and recognize and go for the next step. So I think that this is also something that we need to work on, and it's also part of the leader task to back up your people and to learn or to show your guys that nothing happens if you make a mistake. You need to take decisions, and when you take decisions, it's more likely that sometimes you make a mistake and nothing happens. The only way to avoid that is not to take decision, that this is even worse. So this is one point that I think we need to copy with pride and improve from the Anglo-Saxon guys.
Thank you, Tere. And I was reflecting on the power of the differences, no? So we tend to look for commonalities, but when you build a diverse team with different backgrounds, different potentials, then the result is so powerful. And I would like to leave this reflection to the rest of the audience, because that's why we're here, no? To not to focus only on the commonalities, but to take advantage of the differences and leverage who we are and understand that we are different. No, the combination is very powerful. Tere, thank you very much for your insights. And this is round one. Let me take a quick pause here, because we have a quiz for you. We ask some fun facts, curious facts to each one of our panelists today. So at the end, I would like you to send us via chat a quick message on or about who's who. No, for instance, I will tell you that someone in the panel, while working in a tough project, many months with a vendor, and this lady basically gave them a hard time. It's normal in challenging projects. So there was tension and friction among the teams. And then she realized that one of the vendors was also her skydiving instructor. So in my mind, this lady was very brave, because she jumped. No, she jumped, trusting the vendor who she was giving a hard time. No, so that's, well, who's this lady? You will tell me at the end. I also will tell you that someone in the panel, she didn't like cooking, but she was adventurous enough to cook some cookies, to bake some cookies for her grandma, and she got her sick, basically. So imagine that the grandma was intoxicated with the cookies. So let's find out at the end who's that person, no? And we have another person in the panel that she loves to dress up. No, I can imagine her very, very formal. And in an expedition in Ushuaia, she basically fell into a mud pool and had the decision to go to a formal dinner covered in mud or miss the dinner and clean herself up. And she decided to go to the dinner full covered in mud, and she was there. So you will tell me at the end who's who. Thank you guys for sharing your stories. And let me pass to the second round of questions. So, Claudia, you are into diversity and inclusion initiatives. I love that. I really love it. As part of many diversity and inclusion initiatives, do you think that we are capitalizing the benefits of diversity and inclusion or not yet? Are we there yet or not? What do you think?
Well, I'm still laughing about the funny stories, right? But so this is interesting, your question, because I think that it will depend on people and companies, right? So in my personal experience, I think that we are definitely capitalizing benefits of the D&I initiatives. Maybe we started, in a slow mode, but fortunately it's climbing up very fast. I think that more and more people are talking about this, installing the purpose in our mind. And this is key, as people are talking about this over and over, until it's not something that you need to push for because it becomes normal, right? So, and to related to what you mentioned before, I think that the goal is not to force individuals to become homogeneous, but to reach a common understanding of what the group is about and who the group represents as a whole. And as I said before about collaboration, we need to have this open mind to understand the differences of people and put ourselves on their shoes to understand the way they are acting, reacting, or responding. That's a clear capitalization of our D&I initiatives. I think that, encouraging members to spend time getting to know one another, promoting an atmosphere of inclusion, developing an inclusive system of communicating, encouraging group members to learn about other cultures, religions, ethnics, and so on, right? So focusing on similarities instead of differences, and discussing how differences can be a positive aspect of the group. All these will lead to generate trust, and with trust, people are more open, not in a defensive position, trying to see the hidden purpose, and actually allows us to put all our energy in being creative and innovative and helping to maximize benefits instead of, trying to think about, what is the hidden purpose here, what he wants from me instead of what he's saying, right? It's not, this is more like a trust and put all the energy in the positive side. So for years, I've been talking about our unconscious bias and the way we need to train our brains in order to learn to identify our own bias, and in order to learn to identify our own bias and leave it aside, to listen to others. And once our brain is trained to recognize that bias and put it aside to take decisions and listen, I can say that every single effort that we were working on has been capitalized to make our companies better, but most importantly, to my mind, make us better as people.
Excellent, excellent food for thought, Claudia. And I believe that time will come when the companies and organizations won't need diversity and inclusion groups or initiatives, no? So we need to work harder and try harder to avoid having special topics, because that's already in our DNA. So thank you for sharing that very important topic and very powerful. Thank you, Claudia. Let me Olga, ask you about the following. You're a successful entrepreneur. So I don't know how you manage your agenda. You're very busy, and in addition to the board work that you are doing, you're an entrepreneur. So from the entrepreneurial point of view, what do you think that our communities, our organizations could do to foster innovation? So we talk a lot about that, but what would be your advice for companies and communities to foster innovation?
I think it's a great question, and I want to focus the answer, Alonso, on entrepreneurship. How many of you know how many new unicorns have come up this year from Latin America and Spain? Any thoughts? Many. We have all these brilliant minds in Latin America and Spain and Hispanics in the US who are creating marvelous companies and who are just creating and generating employment for people and who are growing. And it's not just Rappi or Nubank or the latest ones or Happy or any of those. There are many. So one of the discussions that I asked HITEC the other day was, we've been congratulating those people who have been working on other people's companies. And that's great, because if that's your dream and you're happy working for other people, that's wonderful. But what if we have an idea and we want to really work on it? And how can we promote that innovation and that entrepreneurship among Hispanics, whether it is in Latin America, in the US, in Spain, and everywhere else? And we can do it. And I have like kind of a recipe that I would like to share with all of you and maybe give you the challenge. First of all, let's know who they are. If I say the word Nubank, I hope that you all think about this company who's almost ready to do the IPO. And maybe we don't read as much about it as we read from other companies, but this is a wonderful unicorn from Brazil. One of the founders is Colombian and the other founders are from Brazil, and they're doing this just great. And they are becoming a very wonderful company, same as Mercado Libre or Javi or any of the others. So one, let's know what's there and let's know what those entrepreneurs are doing and what they are pursuing. Second thing in the recipe, besides knowing what they are, which I think it's also as important, is what type of problems are they trying to solve? And in many cases, the problems are not difficult. The problems are very easy. And if we can foster that imagination in the future generations, or you guys in the actual generations, of problems that we can easily solve and create companies and generate value and generate employment, my goodness, we will be as happy as anything that we could do. So it's really understanding the problems and what if we were able to solve them. And I think something else is something that Tere already mentioned. It's allow for errors. Innovation, entrepreneurship doesn't occur unless we have an open mind to make mistakes and to learn from them. And then not to be discouraged by that, but to start all over again. And we can make a lot of mistakes. I myself and my company have made many mistakes that I said, oh my God, how did we do that? But now it's learning time and continue to go on and continue to develop whatever we are pursuing. Besides that, I think having support networks and mentors, and HITEC is a wonderful platform for that. If we have all these smart people, not just the HITEC 50, but the HITEC 100 and the rest of the community, we have support groups. We have smart people who can help us foster innovation and entrepreneurship and create companies and do entrepreneurship and innovation within the companies that we work for. So we can leverage the networks and the mentors. I'm not talking about coaches. Look that I'm using a very different word, because I think having mentors and sponsors who can help us achieve whatever we want is key for really being an entrepreneur and getting innovation. And lastly, I think today it's financing and the money is there. I don't think we have to be scared that we won't find the money to do innovation, to do entrepreneurship, because there's so much money. And even for us, being a Hispanic community, being a diverse community, we have more opportunities of things that can happen to us, and the funds who are interested in investing in us and funds who are interested in making our region and our background culturally as Hispanics and South Americans and North Americans and Spaniards be successful. Today, SoftBank is preparing a $5 billion new fund to invest in Latin America. So just think about that. How many different companies could we create and fund with $5 billion US dollars? So don't be scared. Pursue your dreams and have a clear understanding of what's your dream. And then you can either be an entrepreneur, come up with innovation, or do it within the companies that you're working as an executive for. That's my recipe.
Thank you, Olga. And we're receiving good comments about your angle on innovation. So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And in my mind, the importance of framing the problem. How often we pursue the solution and then try hardly to find a problem to apply it. So that's very common in our tech minds. But how powerful and important is then to focus on the problem first. So how to frame the problem. So thank you for sharing, Olga. Okay, let me ask you, Tere, about the following. So, as a successful leader in the telco industry, you're very comfortable with fast change. So, my question is regarding change. How are we adapting to the new reality, and what could we do better in terms of changing, adapting at a fast pace, at a faster pace?
Yeah, change is part of the normal life in a sector like telco, and in this situation with the pandemic has been more than clear. The main lesson learned in this last year and a half is that new reality is what we need to consider as our normal reality from now on. Uncertainty has arrived to remain. I don't think that this will change dramatically, even we were all vaccinated and we think that we can go back to how life was before. I think that some things have changed forever. And for me, uncertainty and the need to take decisions with very limited information, with not certainty or not any background you can rely on, is here to remain. So we need to accept this, and the sooner we accept this, the better. And something that can even appear as a paradox is that when the situation seems to be more uncertain, the ability to remain calm and take decisions based on data, don't overreact, and to avoid to make opinions and to be driven by these anxious opinions that some leaders also have, is very, very important. And the paradox is, how can you rely on data that belongs to a different reality, when collected was in a different reality? But data is data. What you need to change is the pattern or the perspective that you apply to analyze it. So I think that this, at least in the telco sector, in this a year and a half, that we have, as you can imagine, our networks exploding 1 year ago, when everyone remains at home, doing video conferences that are not so normal when we were at home 1 year and a half ago. All of us goes to the office and come back at home for dinner and to see Netflix or Amazon Prime on our broadband service. But for us, for the telco companies, the behavior of our customer has changed from one day to another, from day to night. And we need to change all our way of dimensioning network. There is no longer peak hours, valley hours, all the parameters that we use to analyze and to even consider where to put our money have changed from one day to another. But again, decisions should be taken based on facts and data. And you need to change very, very quickly the way you analyze that and the conclusions that you get from these changing behaviors. So this is my main experience in this year and a half again in the sector that has been really put totally upside down in these years. Yeah.
Thank you, Tere. And yes, it is a very good reflection here. There are things that we cannot control. So we cannot control the context, the environment, and we have learned in the past 18 months or in the past 2 years that our capacity to control is very, very limited. So if we cannot control the environment, so we can control our mindset. So we invest in our mindset, as you're saying, we have a better chance to feel comfortable in the middle of uncertainty. No, excellent. Thank you very much, Tere. And guys, amazing. We have 11 minutes to the hour, so I will pass to the next section, which is something more inspirational. So I will ask a question, and I would like your comments, guys. And if there are a conversation, that's fine. But why don't we talk about your vision for the future of our communities as Hispanic tech leaders, and what would you advise to the young and the restless? So what can we expect? No? What do you think about the future?
Can I start?
Claudia?
Yeah.
Claudia, go.
So I'm very positive about the future, even though today we think that we are in the middle of a pandemic and the future is not there anymore. I'm very positive. I truly believe that we are all as a society recognizing our need of equality and inclusiveness to be successful, at least in the tech world, right? And I think that this Hispanic community will continue to grow, to expand, to show that we have unique characteristics that will contribute to create, to innovate, and to collaborate, and to bring, ideas. So my piece of advice here is to be really proud of who you are, right, and what you can achieve, and move towards that goal. And no matter what obstacles you may have, you will always find someone to support you, to boost you. And you need to dream big and become who you want to be.
Awesome.
We couldn't be in a better moment, because if you think about 30 years ago when I started my career, being Hispanic, a woman in technology, it was not something very sexy. It wasn't something that was very appealable to anyone. Today, being Hispanic, technology, and those of us who are women, we have everything in our hands, because everyone is looking for people in technology who are from different backgrounds, different cultures, different ways of thinking. And even if we are Hispanic men, we think differently. And therefore, everything is in our hands. However, we have a big responsibility, because first, we need to be prepared. Not just by being Hispanic, being in technology will make our lives easy. And therefore, we cannot stop learning and we cannot stop being prepared. Second thing is we have to take control of our careers. It is not all about doing what the next headhunter will do to us or the next call that we receive, but we have to have very clear what we want and what we want in 10 years. So that question that we were asked when we were children, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would say I want to be a doctor, which I didn't. But anyway, if that question that we were asked, that's the question that we need to ask ourselves. Where do we want to be and what do we want to do? And then pursue our careers and take control of our careers. And then finally, never stop dreaming. Because if we stop dreaming on what we won't achieve it. And therefore, even in the toughest circumstances, even in the toughest moments when we might think that we are not going to make it, we cannot stop dreaming. And that's what we can do and achieve anything we want.
Absolutely.
What I will add to what Olga has said at the end of his intervention, she says, don't stop dreaming. And I should add, even don't stop learning and preparing. We work in a sector where we cannot set on a comfort zone and life on the rents. There is no rents here. Our knowledge don't pay dividends. We need to update every day. And we are living very important changes in leadership, all the concepts around agile organizations, not agile as a methodology to develop projects, no, agile organizations. How different are the org chart in this kind of organization? How different are the competencies and skill of an agile leader? And we need to be updated on that. Again, data-driven organizations require a totally different set of competences, mindsets, even personal skills. So this is the challenge that we need to accept for working on the sector we belong to. That I suppose is our passion, because we cannot be here if you don't have this kind of passion. I suppose, like to be a doctor, there is other professions or works that you need to be also updated every day. But in our case, this is not an option. And if you want to live by rent, this is not your work. This is something that we need always to be aware and also to see it on the mind of our people. We all lead, I suppose, very big teams, and this is the responsibility that we also have with our people. We need constantly to be updated in this sector.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have 3 quotes from what you just said. 1, be proud of who you are. Absolutely right. We have everything in our hands. Another one, beautiful. Never stop dreaming. And I totally agree, Tere, don't stop learning. So without having that objective, we came up with the core values of a group like this, the things that HITEC wants to accomplish. And I'm really grateful for having me conducting and moderating the panel. It's a pleasure. I have learned a lot. Thank you so much. And finally, guys, who's the skydiver? Claudia. Who is the cookie chef? Watch out, guys. Watch out. And Tere covering mud.
Yeah.
My daughter inherited the cooking. My daughter inherited the cooking skills. She also food poisoned her brother doing some very easy thing while they lived together in the university. So I think it's a family trait.
It comes with the family. Thank you very much. Let me hand it over to Viviana, Maria, the HITEC.
Absolutely. Alonso, thank you for leading such a fantastic discussion. So many nuggets of wisdom. I definitely think this is one of those sessions that you have to hear back, play back the recording, because there was so much information here. So please do so, guys. Olga, Claudia, Tere, thank you for sharing your stories and your personal stories as well. That always makes it even better when we can understand you more as a person and who you are. So thank you so much. This has been such a wonderful session. I can't wait to see all of you, to celebrate you July 23rd for the HITEC 50 celebration. So please, folks that are on this call, please join us. We're going to be celebrating the accomplishments and achievements of all these stellar leaders. So please, please, please join us. With that, as you know, we will continue to stay on for the networking portion of our session. So if you want to stay, please do. We hope you do. Our leaders are going to continue on the call and they'll be able to answer any questions you may have. But if not, thank you for joining us once again for HITEC Live. And we look forward to seeing you in a couple more weeks. So mil gracias. Thank you all.
Thank you.